Hi, I'm Diana Smith, and I've been training dogs for over 40 years, but I've been doing puppy classes since they first began in the late 80s. And lots have happened since then. What I want to talk about tonight is the importance of puppy socialization on many levels, and not just for the puppy. And so, what I'd like to go to first is if you want A to Z encyclopedia education on puppies, Puppy Culture is a great program for people that are really serious, and it starts actually from birth on. That will give you a lot of the nuts and bolts information that you might need. But the other person that was a huge mentor, the one that started puppy classes for me, was Dr. Ian Dunbar. He actually started puppy classes in the 80s. He has two free downloadable books, one before you get your puppy and the other one after you get your puppy, if you go to his website, dogstardaily.com. And that's just another great resource for you with lots of things. I couldn't give you the 1,000 things you need to do with the puppy, but we're going to click on the essentials and tell you why I believe puppy socialization is so important. Here's just a visual. These are dogs in shelters. They're all over 6 months old, likely 5, 6 months old. And this is number one reason why dogs are surrendered in shelters is because of poor socialization and lack of training. So if we want to arrest shelter populations, we need to get a hold of socializing, training puppies, and educating owners. If we can get them, then people, the 70% of the puppies, dogs that end up at shelters are owner surrendered due to those bad behaviors or poor socializing. And so it's for the entire population of dogs, not just personal puppies. During the pandemic, it's been particularly hard. Here's a little ad that we put out on Facebook earlier in the year when pandemic hit, and just shows some of the things that you can do for puppies during pandemic when you can't get into group situations as much, but you do want your dog to get stimulated in the right kind of way. Oops, I thought that would play. Come on. Okay. Oh, good. Here we go. So you have to get creative with puppy socialization because there's a lot of things you can't do in groups like we used to be able to do. But let's start, where does puppy socialization begin? It actually begins when they're born, and even sometimes prior to that, depending on the stress of the mother. Puppies are born deaf and blind. They're just little milk-seeking missiles. They have touch and taste. They don't have thermal light regulation for the first 4 days of their lives, and they're very, very, very vulnerable. From 2 to 4 weeks, this is a puppy from a litter I just had. Their physical development starts, and they only can smell. Then they have ears and eyes are open by about 2 weeks, which is where this was taken. Their depth perception is not quite developed, but they do start standing up, tail wagging, barking, and playing with each other. I'm in a really cute phase with my puppies right now. But something that happens with a lot of puppies, if you don't know this before you get your puppy, a lot of us don't get a puppy till they're 3 months old and older. And because of that, you don't realize that another huge factor of how the puppy's temperament and emotions has to do with the maternal stress of the mother. If the maternal stress of the mother in the prenatal period, before they're even born, can have a lifelong impact on the physical and behavioral health of a puppy. So just like in humans, stress will trigger hormones and cortisol into the bloodstream, and they will affect the puppy's stress response system. And you can read this, but it's also important to understand if you get a puppy that's from a rescue or an unknown parentage, a lot of times this is an issue that can happen. Ways you can mitigate it is if you have control over it. If you were a purebred breeder, you wouldn't breed nervous, anxious dogs. Um, if you are adopting a dog that maybe came from a rescue where the mother was on the street or poorly cared for, then what you're going to have is an inherent predisposition that way. So what you need to do to mitigate it is you have to give it lots of extra physical contact, even starting at this age where that last puppy was. If you have it at that age, and if you don't, when you first get that puppy, it needs lots and lots of extra touch and handling. They need lots of exercises and the right kind of exposure. Don't do things that will cause the puppy to be too stressed out when they're younger. All right, so 3 to 5 weeks, they start their basic play and interaction. And hi, they start their basic play and interaction, and they'll start to play with each other. But here's a point where if your puppy was what we call a singleton, or the only puppy in the litter, a lot of times they do not get the proper kind of influence that they should from other dogs. They need to have influence of their mother and their litter mates. And if they're all by themselves, they become a little bit of a trust fund baby. And so a lot of times puppies that are from single litters are very, very extra shy or entitled when they're around other dogs. That's why you see this a lot in small breeds. You see them like Chihuahuas and Yorkshire Terriers. A lot of them are born with just single litters. Also, if the puppy's been bottle fed and not been around and been nursed by its mother, this is another reason why your puppies will have a reduced ability to be sociable, and you have to overcompensate with lots of other things that you do. 5 to 8 weeks. So many people, they wean their puppies at 4 weeks. People that don't know what they're doing, the puppies are killing the mom with their teeth at 4 weeks, and they start to wean them and put them on puppy food. But what happens is that puppy has to stay in that litter to get to know how to be a dog and cooperate with other dogs. And if you don't have other puppies or dogs, try to find a nice dog that can be like a nanny or a surrogate to help that dog get pleasant other dog interactions. It's really essential. If you take your puppy away before 7 weeks, a lot of times they really lose a lot of ability to just be sociable with other dogs, let alone people. 8 to 10 weeks. This is when we are, most people are getting their puppies around this area. Now, if you do go and get your dog from a rescue or shelter, a lot of times they have what I call leftover litters, and you miss this window too. But this is the ideal time to get a puppy. They do have adaptability. They can be fearful. You have to be careful how you manage stressors then. They have all their senses. They need a lot of support and positive reinforcement. They need, they can be past the litter mates, but they should be in a puppy class or in a puppy social group. One of the things that we did when pandemic first hit, realizing that group puppy classes were not going to happen, but wanting the puppies to get socialized, is we actually did a thing called Puppy Day. And the owners would drop their dogs off for an hour and a half with social distancing, and our staff would socialize them, and we would supervise them with other dogs and do handling. And I'm going to show you in every slide, I'm going to show you a little clip of something of what we're doing and pass on some of the things you need to see with the puppies that are present. So this is Bugs, this dark gray Merle puppy. And Bugs was very, very nervous, kept going under the chairs. Her first time to be around other dogs, really would like to get out of the room, please. I would like to go away, please. Help, save me, save me. And if the other puppies would, now this is an hour or 45 minutes into the session, because she got around other dogs and there wasn't too much pressure. Now she feels comfortable about sniffing other dogs and interacting with other dogs. And Aria, that Saluki dog, you see the black one with the tan, she was also a very shut down puppy when she was younger and just wouldn't even move around to be around other puppies. And you'll see her be the life of the party in the next few slides. So Bugs came out of her shell. And Bugs really came out of her shell. This is the very same day when we went outside and she got to play with the other puppies outside. Having adequate space for the puppies to be and it's really, really important. I have some really cute music to these slides, but it superseded my verbal presentation here. So we had to cut it out, but we have some really cute music that goes with it. So Bugs, look at Bugs. Look at how relaxed she is, how happy she is, how extroverted she is. And this is all within one play session. Within an hour, this puppy is out of her shell. And it can happen so quick. If this happened a month later, you wouldn't see that. If you see this after 12, 14 weeks, the puppies get more and more shut down. So we can go to the next slide. This is another slide. This is Chiro, the little brown. That's actually a chocolate Great Dane. I'd never seen one before. He's the most stunning color and puppy. And he was also very shut down and shy. Having a shy Great Dane puppy can be foreboding in the future if they get nervous and aggressive. So they brought him to puppy class. And by the way, Aspen, the kind of sheepdog there, she was also pretty shy in the beginning. So we're going to see if we got back. Oops, I'm sorry, I must have gone back. Here's Chiro. And his owner put that humongous martingale collar on him. And the only reason that we left it on him was because we do a lot of what we call collar grabs during puppy play. We watched him carefully. We weren't going to let him get his leg in it or through it or whatever. The next time we did puppy socialization, he didn't have that on. But we do like to teach the dog to be comfortable letting us reach for them and handle them. And so he had that collar on. We had to kind of go with that. But he's starting to come out. This is some of the handling we do with different people that dogs don't know. James is a big, huge guy with a Rasta hair. And so he's quite a different look for a lot of the puppies. Do some surface changes. And Chiro kind of found a den. He got his own fort there where he could kind of feel safe. It's kind of cute, really is. And this is, again, the first session that he was ever in. Here's a little bit of what we call crate training, the crate training that we do when the puppies came in for puppy day. We'd put them in crates and get them used to crates. Now he's starting to not have to need his tent quite so much. And that's that. Now, the hard thing for us as trainers is, though the American Veterinary Society for Animal Behavior says puppies should be in puppy classes 1 week after their first vaccinations, it really hasn't gotten out to the veterinarians yet, and that's really unfortunate. So, so here's from the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior. You can look it up, but it's their actual puppy position statement. That puppies are more likely to die of poor socialization from being euthanized at a shelter than they are from getting parvo in a puppy class if the place where the puppy class is, all the other puppies are vaccinated and the floors and the surfaces are clean, and the people should be clean too. But your puppy really should be at 7 and 8 weeks of age. They should be 8 weeks to 10 weeks, they should be in a class. And sometimes if the puppy's from a shelter, we wait for till they have had 2 sets of vaccinations just to make the veterinarians feel better. But you certainly don't want to have it be all their vaccines before they come in to a puppy class. They need to start sooner. And a lot of puppies that come in after 3 months have a harder time coming out of their shell. So when they're junior hires, you'll see increased independence. Chasing becomes their favorite game. You really have to monitor their mouthing. Hopefully it's getting less by then. And they also start a lot of tearing things up and dissecting behavior as their adult teeth start to erupt. And so this video here is a little puppy, not this one, Bugaloo. Was real shy. Oh, here's some more tugging and things that we do with the puppies in the puppy day. Okay, this puppy was really, really shy. And another factor, if your puppy is only with other litter mates or other dogs past 12 weeks of age and they don't get in a puppy class, they'll tend to do what we call pack bonding. And what that means is they pay over much attention to their litter mates or their partner's signals if they get insecure on their own. And they need to see other dogs so they get to be more relaxed with other dogs. That I want to go back a little bit on that. If your puppy during the 7 to 12 weeks has to be seeing other dogs, if it doesn't, it's going to be a little bit longer after that. Otherwise, we see all the time over bonding between puppies where they're over attached to each other. And they don't want to see new dogs, and they actually become more doggy, meaning they'd rather be interested in dogs than other people, but only their family dogs. So it's a real key time to get your puppy out and about. Remember Chiro, the little brown Great Dane? Here he is at 6 months old, and here he is with Bandit. Bandit is a Pomeranian that also came to our puppy class. Now, normally a tiny dog like him gets rescued by the owner and picked up in the air all the time. It gets defensive and irritable towards other dogs. And often a Great Dane might show predatory behavior or look at this like another bunny and want to attack it if it doesn't have proper socialization. So here's just a brief interaction between these two guys. They just took a companion class together. I wouldn't turn them loose with each other, but you can see, and even as Chiro got bigger, he'd lay down in classes and let the little ones be around him. He's being holy, what we call self-handicapping. He's taking it easy with that puppy. They're putting their mouths on each other, but there's nothing harsh. And I think that's a really good picture of what can come out of a puppy class. I thought I'd have hours of material here, but I guess I clipped through it pretty quickly. So I'll show you a couple more things. Here's what we did in our puppy day that we think is essential. We did crate training, where we put the puppies in crates and come up and just reinforce them for being quiet and not trying to get out the door. This Coco, this puppy, the short hair, was also another really shy puppy. We also, this puppy here was told he barks all night. It wouldn't stay in its crate, screamed its head off. So we worked on this puppy with 2 puppy days, and it started to get quiet and settle in the crate. They're just so malleable at this stage. Handling, different people. This puppy didn't like to hold still. This was a very shy puppy. She's handling it very gently because it didn't want to be cuddled too much yet. But it's relaxed. It flew off her lap. Here I'm getting attacked by, this is the hard part of my job. But this puppy was also pretty shy about handling and touching, and it got to be relaxed. We also taught the puppies to approach us without jumping, which is a really important skill set for puppies. And this little dog, the first time we did this, jumped out of her skin. She was not going to hold still around the lap or do anything. It was really cool. This is a pretty sweet little baby here. There we go, another Wiggles. Quintessential golden. And I had a couple, like he's an adolescent boy who have handling the dogs. They tend to have a lot of hormones, and that makes dogs nervous sometimes too. I didn't have any older people in this group to help us, unfortunately. This is the second time he came. You see how much more relaxed he is? There we go. Tethering. Supervised totally, but we teach the puppies to be tethered. We find that it helps them to be less reactive to the leash if they learn to be on a tether, come up and they sit. It reinforces walking up and sitting. It reinforces not pulling on the leash. And so we see tethering as an essential part of puppy skill sets. No one has to push or shove on the puppy to get it to do these things. All right. I think I'm done. So that's it for today. And now I can answer questions.
All right. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself now.
We do group puppy classes again. We do them with the owners now. We do a lot of social distancing, and we're careful to have the people not get too close. We can't have other people handle each other's puppies like we used to. But we found that we just have, with the pandemic, we have such a huge volume of puppies. There's a huge need for the training, and the puppy days were not adequate enough for everybody. So we do about 5 puppy classes a week now. And it's rewarding. It's my favorite thing. My staff will tell you, I'm just passionate about puppies, and it's huge, just a really huge thing. I guess I'm done. Is there anybody else?
All right. So Anna asked, can you touch on resource guarding in puppies, and how would you address this? Resource guarding against other dogs, not humans.
Okay, resource guarding in puppies. I think unsupervised puppies, there are some dogs I personally feel are more prone to resource guarding. And one of the best things, like John Rogerson, my mentor, told me, is you have to have lots of resources out there. If you have 1 bone or 2 bones, of course, the dog is going to mantle and protect it. And some dogs don't share even puppies that well, usually, unless they're retrievers. Sometimes they do. But so what you have to do is be sure there's not a limited resource, and make everybody feel more secure, and also practice some release, leave it, take it, leave it kind of situations that the individual puppies get to know about, and that they understand. Like, for instance, one of the things I see with a mixture of people and dogs is if you're giving treats, like we saw in the puppy thing, you're giving treats to a puppy, and the other puppy comes, another puppy comes up, and that puppy, the first puppy, just turns around and wails at them. We worked really hard with those types of puppies on if they came out to us, they got a treat, the other puppy got a treat, they got 2 treats, the other puppy got a treat, they got two more treats. And pretty soon that puppy started to see that initial slide. There was a white, not Bugs, but the whiter Australian Shepherd looking dog, that she was extremely resource guarding. And if another puppy came within 3 feet of her taking treats from us, she would have a fit. And so what we worked on is just that puppy not feeling it. If other puppies came up, she got more, not less. And pretty soon she saw other puppies coming up, just like you do with aggression stuff. There's the visual of another dog. You reinforce more for keeping the eye on you and watching you, and they get more rewards, and you're not making it a threat. You're not being angry. You're not being corrective about anything. And that really, it takes some time, but it takes away the sting. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you so much, Diana. I really appreciate you being here. Again, if anybody has questions, you can check out Diana with Hearts and Paws. You can ask her any questions you have. I'm Miranda, for those who don't know me, from Every Dog Behavior and Training. We are a nonprofit that is Austin-based, and our goal is to try and make sure that every puppy or dog person in Austin has access to great behavior education and information. So if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Please do follow us on social media if you're not already, and we'll make sure that the link to this recording gets sent out hopefully tomorrow. We also do offer consults. We will work with a lot of the trainers in the area to make sure that we all collaborate on cases and things like that. And we're hoping that someday, COVID forbid, we will be able to do classes as well. So thank you all for coming out on a Wednesday. We have webinars twice a month. I think our next one is on cooperative care. So learning how to get your pet to kind of buy into things like handling and veterinary procedures. It's a really, really cool topic. So definitely check out our website for that and stay tuned for more exciting stuff in the future. So thank you all for coming out. Yeah, thank you, Diana, so much for coming out today.
I really appreciate your organization. I'm really grateful for what you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.